Hey guys, Mr. Friender here, helping you guys with some social studies. What I wanted to do is just read aloud the article to you guys and then go over some of the questions. What I like to do before I actually read this article or this page of how great was Alexander the Great is I would like to look at the questions first. So it says background essay, read, highlight, and number where you find the answers. So we're going to have to number those. I'm not going to do that with you guys, but I'll let you guys figure that out. A number where you find the answer. So could Alexander have met Jesus? Why or why not? Let's think about that. What subjects did the philosopher Aristotle teach Alexander? What did King Philip do with the phalanx? Why did Alexander become king at such a young age? What did Alexander do when the Persian king Darius was killed? After 8 years of conquering land, why did Alexander turn back? How did Alexander try to unify his huge empire? Why is it a problem for a king not to leave an heir? What happened to Alexander's empire? And why did Caesar cry 300 years later when he saw Alexander's statue? So think about those questions as we start to read over here. Okay, so how great was Alexander the Great? When we study the life of Alexander of Macedonia, we begin with a truth and a problem. The truth is that Alexander is one of the most famous people in history. The problem is that what we know about him is a mixture of fact and legend. We do know that he was born in 356 BCE, more than 300 years before Jesus of Nazareth, in a kingdom of the edge of northern Greece called Macedonia. Now, for myself, it says, that was one of the points right there. It talks about Jesus right now, right? So if he was born 300 years before Jesus, let's look back to our question again. Could Alexander have met Jesus? Why or why not? Well, you should be able to answer that now. And remember to number it and highlight where you guys found the answer for that, which was right over here, right? Right where we just talked about. All right. Let's keep going. His father, King Philip of Macedonia, and his mother, Olympia, prepared Alexander for kingship by hiring the philosopher Aristotle to teach him academic subjects, politics, sports, and warfare. So I just scrolled down and it says, what subjects did the philosopher Aristotle teach Alexander? Well, we just talked about that, right? So you're going to highlight and write number 2 there. Academic subjects, politics, sports, and warfare. With a start like this, Alexander developed a rather high opinion of himself, including the growing belief that he himself was a god. All right, let's focus right here. During Alexander's boyhood, his father built the Macedonian army into a deadly fighting machine. First, Philip used his army and the frightening Macedonia phalanx to conquer nearby Greek city-states. Next, Philip planned to attack the huge Persian Empire. Now think, we just saw this word, right? Phalanx. So let's look back at question number 3 and see if we can solve that one right now or answer it right now. So what did King Philip do with the phalanx? We can go back up here and reread that sentence. During Alexander's boyhood, his father built the Macedonian army into a deadly fighting machine. First, Philip used his army and the frightening Macedonian phalanx to conquer nearby Greek city-states. Next, Philip planned to attack the huge Persian Empire. Alexander was eager to lead the attack himself. He would soon get his chance. Philip was assassinated in 336 BCE, and at the age of 20, Alexander inherited his father's kingdom and set out with the army to conquer Persia. So I'm just going to stop there for a second. He inherited his father's kingdom, right? At the age of 20. So you should be able to answer number 4. Like, why is he able to inherit at such a young age? Next question. At the time, Persia was probably the most powerful kingdom in the world. This mattered little to Alexander. Using his disciplined cavalry and infantry in bold ways, Alexander fought his way through lands controlled by Persia, across Asia Minor, down the Mediterranean coast, into Egypt, and then east to Mesopotamia. There he defeated a huge Persian army at Gaugamela. The Persian king Darius was killed in the aftermath, and Alexander replaced him on the throne. Instead of being satisfied with his expanded empire, Alexander pushed further eastward into lands no Greek had ever seen. He led his troops across to Central Asia, fighting battles and establishing garrison towns along the way. More than once, Alexander was at the front of an attack. Finally, at the Indus River in western India, Alexander was stopped, not by any enemy, but by his own army, which refused to go further. After 8 years of combat and conquest, Alexander reluctantly turned back. So at this point, you guys should have been able to answer already number 5 and number 6. All right, let's keep going. Alexander returned to the Persian city of Susa, where he tried to unify his huge empire by taking Darius's daughter as his second wife and ordering his officers to marry Persian women. Many Macedonians resented Alexander's attempt to join the two races. Alexander's push to expand his empire took its toll. Over the years, he had suffered severe wounds that weakened his health. In June of 323 BCE, after a bout of heavy feasting and celebrating, Alexander became ill. 10 days later, he was dead. For reasons that are unclear, he had not named an heir. After much fighting, Alexander's generals split up the land. More quickly than it took to build the empire, it began to fall into pieces. Flash forward 3 centuries, a Roman military commander named Julius Caesar is on campaign in Spain. There he encounters a statue of Alexander and is said to have wept. That means cry, right? Overcome by the thought that Alexander had achieved so much at such a young age, but did Alexander deserve Caesar's tears and respect? Examine the following documents and answer the question, how great was Alexander the Great? So at this point, you guys should be able to answer all these questions. I know the last paragraph talked about why Caesar cried. And also what happens to the empire, right? So answer these questions and good luck.